The origins of our sayings, hello and welcome. Language, in its myriad forms, is a truly remarkable human endeavor. It allows us to communicate complex thoughts, share profound emotions, and crucially, to pass down wisdom and experience through the generations. Within this vast linguistic landscape lie curious little expressions, phrases we use almost without thinking. Yet each one is a tiny vessel carrying a fragment of history, a whisper from a bygone era. Ever wondered where some of our most famous old sayings come from? Today we're diving into the fascinating history behind these timeless phrases. These idioms, these colorful turns of phrase, are more than just quaint relics. They are living fossils of human experience. They offer us a glimpse into the lives, the beliefs, and even the hardships of those who came before us. From the clamor of ancient battlefields to the quiet reverence of distant temples, the origins of these sayings are often surprising, sometimes startling, but always deeply revealing of the human condition. Join me as we embark on an archaeological dig, not through earth and stone, but through the layers of language itself. Our journey today will take us across continents and centuries. We'll explore the literal roots of metaphorical expressions, uncovering the very real circumstances that gave birth to the words we still utter. Prepare to see these familiar phrases in an entirely new light, to understand the weight of history they carry, and perhaps to appreciate anew the enduring power of words to capture and convey the essence of human life. It's a journey into the very DNA of our communication, the stoic resilience of bite the bullet. Our first exploration takes us to a time of raw courage and grim necessity, to the very crucible of human conflict. The phrase bite the bullet is one we use to describe enduring a painful or unpleasant situation with stoicism and fortitude. But its origins are not metaphorical. They are starkly, brutally literal. Imagine, if you will, the battlefields of centuries past, long before the advent of modern anesthesia, a time when surgery was a terrifying, agonizing ordeal. For a soldier wounded in the heat of battle, facing an emergency amputation or the extraction of shrapnel, there was little to dull the searing pain. In these desperate moments, with no effective painkillers available, surgeons would offer their patients something to clench between their teeth. Often, this was a lead bullet. The soft metal would give way slightly under the pressure of a man's jaw, providing a focal point for his agony, a physical object to bear down upon as the surgeon's instruments did their grisly work. It was an act of sheer willpower, a desperate attempt to muffle screams and maintain some semblance of control in the face of excruciating pain. The act of literally biting a bullet became synonymous with enduring the unendurable. Thus, this saying, now used to describe facing any difficult task head-on, carries with it the echoes of immense suffering and extraordinary human resilience. It speaks of a time when survival depended on an almost unimaginable capacity to withstand pain. The lead bullet, a small, unassuming object, became a symbol of this grim determination. Every time we utter this phrase, we unknowingly pay homage to the silent, stoic bravery of countless individuals who face their darkest moments with nothing but a piece of metal between their teeth. Navigating new waters, break the ice. From the visceral realities of the battlefield, we journey now to the equally challenging, though vastly different, domain of frozen waterways and the dawn of new social encounters. The expression "break the ice" is universally understood as an action or a phrase used to relieve tension and initiate conversation in a new social setting. It's about making people feel more comfortable with one another. But its origins, much like our previous example, are rooted in a very tangible physical act, one that was crucial for commerce and communication in colder climes. Consider the great rivers and ports of northern lands in centuries past, when winter's icy grip would halt the passage of ships, effectively freezing trade and travel. For vital supply vessels or important emissaries to reach their destinations, a path had to be cleared. Smaller, specially reinforced boats, sometimes with crews manually chipping away at the frozen surface, would be sent ahead of the main ships. Their task was quite literally to break the ice, creating a navigable channel through which the larger, more cumbersome vessels could follow, allowing communities to reconnect and trade to resume. This act of physically shattering the frozen barrier became a powerful metaphor for overcoming initial awkwardness or formality between people. Just as the ice-breaking ships opened up physical pathways, a well-chosen word or a friendly gesture could open up pathways for social interaction and understanding. The chill of a new encounter, the stiffness of unfamiliarity could be dispelled, much like the winter ice, allowing warmth and connection to flow. So, when we strive to break the ice at a gathering, we are echoing the efforts of those hardy crews who forged paths through frozen landscapes. Our linguistic quest now transports us to the spiritual landscapes of ancient India, a realm rich in tradition and devotional practices. The phrase "butter someone up" is a common idiom meaning to flatter or praise someone excessively, usually with the motive of gaining a favor or advantage. It often carries a slightly insincere connotation. Yet its origins lie in a practice of profound religious significance, an act of genuine piety and supplication, far removed from the manipulative undertones the phrase often carries today. In ancient Hindu customs, and indeed in some practices that continue to this day, offering ghee, a form of clarified butter, was and is a significant act of devotion. Devotees seeking blessings, forgiveness for transgressions, or divine favor would present offerings to the statues of their deities. Among these offerings, balls of fresh butter or ghee held a special place. It was believed that anointing or pelting the sacred images with these rich, pure substances was a way to please the gods, to soothe their potential displeasure, and to invite their benevolence into one's life. This act of literally applying butter to a divine effigy, hoping to gain its favor, gradually evolved into the metaphorical expression we use. The physical act of smoothing and enriching the surface of a statue with butter became a symbol for smoothing social interactions through flattery. While the modern usage often implies a degree of calculation, its ancient counterpart was born from a deep-seated desire for spiritual connection and absolution. It's a fascinating transformation from a sacred ritual intended to appease the divine to a secular idiom describing the art of ingratiation among mortals. We now turn our attention to a phrase often posed as a playful question when someone is unusually quiet or at a loss for words. "Cat, got your tongue?" It's a seemingly innocuous query, yet its potential origins are rather more sinister, pointing towards a brutal form of punishment that would quite literally leave its victims speechless, not from surprise, but from agony and fear. One compelling theory, though debated among etymologists, links this saying to the grim realities of discipline in the Royal Navy. The instrument of this silence was the infamous cat o' nine tails, a whip with multiple knotted cords, each lash capable of inflicting excruciating pain and tearing flesh. It was a feared tool of punishment aboard naval vessels, used to maintain discipline among the crew. The sheer trauma and agony inflicted by this whip was so intense that it was said to render a man mute, either from the shock of the flogging itself or from the terror of anticipating it. The cat, as it was grimly nicknamed, could indeed silence even the most rebellious spirit. Another, perhaps less brutal though equally silencing theory, suggests an ancient Near Eastern context where liars and blasphemers would have their tongues cut out and fed to cats, specifically perhaps to the king's cats as a sign of ultimate disgrace. While the exact path from these grim practices to our modern light-hearted idiom is somewhat veiled in the mists of time, the association with the feline and an inability to speak is undeniably potent. It serves as a stark reminder that even our most casual expressions can sometimes have roots in far darker soil, reflecting historical practices designed to enforce silence through fear or pain. Our final exploration into the etymology of everyday sayings brings us to a phrase that vividly paints a picture of undeniable guilt: caught red-handed. When we say someone was caught red-handed, we mean they were apprehended in the very act of committing a misdeed, with the evidence clearly upon them. This expression is so evocative, so immediate, that its literal origins are perhaps less surprising than some, yet they are deeply embedded in the history of law and justice, or sometimes injustice. The phrase dates back at least to 15th century Scotland, appearing in early legal texts. It referred quite literally to a murderer or a poacher being caught with the blood of their victim, be it human or animal, still fresh upon their hands. In an era before sophisticated forensic science, such stark, visceral evidence was often irrefutable. To be found with red hands was to be found in a state that offered little room for denial or defense. The vivid imagery of blood-stained hands became the ultimate symbol of guilt discovered in flagrante delicto. This powerful and unambiguous imagery ensured its passage into common parlance. While originally associated with the gravest of crimes like murder or the serious offence of poaching game from a laird's land, which carried severe penalties, the meaning broadened over time. Today, caught red-handed can apply to any transgression, from a child sneaking a cookie from the jar to more serious offences. Yet, it still carries that potent sense of being discovered with incontrovertible proof, the modern equivalent of that ancient, damning stain of blood. And so our brief journey through the annals of language comes to a close. We've seen how phrases, seemingly simple and commonplace, can act as portals to vastly different times and experiences. From the stoic endurance of a soldier biting down on a bullet, to the symbolic offerings meant to appease ancient gods, each saying carries within it a narrative, a fragment of human history preserved in the amber of everyday speech. These expressions are a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of language, its capacity to absorb and transform the literal into the metaphorical. The words we use are more than mere tools for communication. They are a living tapestry woven from the threads of countless lives and events. They connect us not only to each other in the present moment, but also to the long chain of humanity that stretches back through the centuries. Understanding their origins enriches our appreciation for the depth and complexity of our linguistic heritage, revealing layers of meaning that might otherwise remain hidden beneath the surface of casual conversation. It reminds us that history is not just found in books or museums, but in the very words we speak. And there you have it, the intriguing origins of some of our most beloved old sayings. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Perhaps you know of other phrases with fascinating backstories. Sharing this knowledge helps keep these linguistic histories alive. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. Until next time, may your words be ever meaningful.